So in this case, we will be discussing about Harmon's Process Strategy Matrix, and the case study name is called as Chemical Transport, and this question has appeared in the exam June 2013 of ACCA exam. So we'll start from the required. So the required is here. 3 significant business process areas have been identified in the scenario: payroll, legal, advice, and an enhanced web service allowing wholesalers to request and track deliveries. Required: use Harmon's Process Strategy Matrix to analyze characteristics of each of the 3 process areas defined above and suggest how each should be outsourced and implemented at CT. So this is going to be around some 15 marks worth. So you can split it in terms of identifying in the Harmon's process matrix where each of the above 3 processes will lie is half of the mark. So it's 7.5. You will get 2.5, 2.5 and 2.5 for identifying where these processes will come under the Harmon process strategy matrix. And when you suggest how this process has to be handled, that will get another 2.5 marks for each of the process. So we'll start from the case here. Chemical Transport is a specialist haulage company providing transport service for several chemical wholesalers. Despite these wholesalers being in competition with each other, many of them have outsourced their distribution to CT, recognizing the company's expertise in this area and its compliance with stringent and emerging legislation. So this is a chemical transport company, and they transport very hazardous kind of chemicals, it seems. The legislation is at both national and international level and concerns the transportation and handling of chemicals, as well as the maintenance of trucks, trailers, the health, competencies, safety and driving hours of drivers. There are also chemical wholesalers in the country who either organize their own distribution or outsource it to one of CT's competitors. So it says that this company is a very specialized company because the legislation required to handle these chemicals are very huge, and so no distributor actually tries to do it on their own, but rather they try to outsource it to this chemical transport company or to one of chemical transport company's competitors. CT handles the distribution of chemicals from either the port of importation or point of production to the wholesalers' depots or directly to the end customer of the wholesaler. So with all these points here, they are telling you about what kind of a company is this. So why do you need this? Okay, so in a Harmon's process strategy matrix, we first need to know like what is the core business or core area of the company is, so that we can identify the other areas are not that relevant, okay, or non-core areas, because core areas we can't outsource, we can only outsource the non-core areas. Okay, so the Harmon matrix depends upon our ability to divide the activities based upon the core and the non-core. So predominantly the opening paragraph, these 3 paragraphs tells about what is the core activity. So you have got a good idea about what is the core activity of the company. It is the transportation of hazardous materials, and the legal implications for this is very huge, and there are also like several competitors in terms of CT also, and there are also and the maintenance of trucks, trailers, and the health, competency and safety of drivers are also like important. So these 3 paragraphs have told us like what are the various things which are happening in the company, the core areas, and now we will move on to the next part of the case. So this is the Harmon strategy process strategy matrix. So it has around some 4 variables. So it is arranged in a 2 by 2 matrix. On one side there is complexity of high and low. On the other side there is a strategic importance in terms of core or non-core. So high strategic importance and a low strategic importance. So these are like core areas and these are like non-core areas. On to the first process. The complex and changing nature of legislation has led to CT engaging a specialist legal consultancy to provide it with advice. They have found this advice to be both useful and proactive. The consultancy has identified the potential effect of employment, tax, health and safety legislation in advance and has notified CT of its likely implications. CT has benefited from this advice, but it is concerned that it is expensive and it is considering employing a full-time legal expert instead of using the legal consultancy. So where would you place the legal advice service? See, the legal advice service seems to be of a very high importance. Okay, why is it of a high importance? Is when related to the core activity is chemical handling. So if in case in the core process of chemical handling some mistake happens, that will have a huge legal impact. So legal becomes a very high important area. So we have only two choices, either to undertake process improvement or automate. Only two areas are available. Legal is a very complex activity, so it actually leads to this box, undertake process improvement. So we can't take it as undertake process improvement. It becomes a part of our core nature. So somewhere we have to do it on our self. So legal is importance wise it's high, complexity wise it's high. So undertake process improvement. So rather than doing process improvement, they are going to start this process by themselves. So that is what this paragraph indicates. So the next one is track deliveries. The chemical wholesalers have asked CT to provide an internet-based system which would allow them to request and track deliveries. So the wholesalers are requesting a kind of a GPS tracker in each of the trucks. CT does have a website, but it only contains information about the company. So their website is very basic in nature. It doesn't offer any tracking services as of now. CT has agreed to provide such a system because it is aware that a failure to do so will lead to wholesalers looking for an alternative distributor. The case already said that there are alternative competitors available for CT. So customers would move actually to them if this kind of a service has not been provided. CT does have an internal capability with some expertise in building web-based systems. The internal IT team have also developed a bespoke payroll system. Bespoke payroll system is a customized IT solution. So where would we place the track deliveries? If we use the matrix again, is it low or high in terms of importance? See, it is a high, because if we don't provide this service, we lose our customers. So it is a high. So under high, is it a complex work or a straightforward work? See, it is not such a complex work, because it is only a small kind of a tracking system that has to be created. So we could actually automate it. So how do we automate it? We already have our own IT team who could actually do this. So some of the work could have been like outsourced, but some can be done through our in-house team itself. And place track deliveries as importance wise it's high, complexity wise it's low. It leads to automate. So it is going to be an automation technology, but who's going to do it? It is an internal IT team itself can do it. So the next area that we are going to discuss is about the payroll. Drivers at CT are rewarded with the basic pay together with a complex set of bonuses and deduction which have been developed and enhanced over the years. There are bonuses for certain skills and attainment and deductions for missed or delayed deliveries or mistakes. The drivers themselves find the payment arrangement very confusing. One commented that we find it almost impossible to check if we have been correctly paid, and it confuses us rather than motivates us. See, this seems to be a real kind of a problem here. So the payroll is very confusing in nature and it has to be changed. Changes in national tax legislation are also continually affecting the payroll calculation. So the company already has a confusing payroll mechanism, and on top of that there is also tax legislation which is also like constantly changing. Indeed, recent changes in legislation led to the IT team being fully occupied for 3 months developing and testing the required modifications to the payroll system. So every time there's going to be a change in the legislation, this system has to be like again and again the software has to be changed. So whether the payroll is an important process, the answer is no. Computing payroll is not an important, even though see paying the salary appropriately with a simple mechanism is important, but calculating payroll is not such an important area. So it is a low strategic importance for the company. So is it very complexity wise it's high or low? See, that's the reason why he says that the national legislation keeps on changing. and the IT team takes 3 months to create a software for that particular legislation. So if the government is going to keep on changing the legislation, and this is going to be happening on a regular basis, then the IT team cannot do a proper work at all. So it becomes complex in nature. So it becomes a high complex work. So what happens is, this process is both importance wise it's low, but complexity wise it's high. So we should outsource it. So payroll, importance is low, complexity is high, and therefore this should be outsourced. So we get the marks here. It's a very simple and a straightforward question, but where the trick lies is in terms of finding out the strategic importance of low and high and complexity of high and low. So that is where the trick lies. You have to correctly find out through few words, like where the process is going to go, whether it's going to be in outsource, improvement, automate, or minimum effort. So I hope you have learned a lot from this case study. We'll meet in the next case study. Thank you very much.